Laos, Vietnam's neighboring country, is actually not small at all. Laos has an area of about 237,000 square kilometers, equivalent to two-thirds of Vietnam. However, Laos' population is less than 8 million, only about 7.6 million. This number is even lower than the population of Hanoi, which is over 8.5. It sounds illogical, but in reality, it is completely ridiculous. Why is Laos two-thirds the size of Vietnam but has such a small population?
To understand why Laos is so vast yet sparsely populated, we must start from the foundational factors of all civilizations and nations, which are geography and topography. A country is like a piece of land for building a house. Flat land can be used to build apartments, high-rises, markets, and attracting many people. On rocky mountainous land, building even a single house is difficult, let alone constructing it. In Vietnam, we have many plains.
Typical examples are the Red River Delta and the Mekong Delta. Although there are also many hills and mountains, we still possess such vast plains. These are two low-lying, flat areas, rich in alluvium, dense with rivers, and with a temperate climate. What about Laos? About 70% of Laos area consists of high mountains and plateaus,
with much limestone, rugged terrain, steep cliffs, large slopes, and little arable land.
The average elevation of Laos is over 700 meters, twice or three times higher than many densely populated areas of Vietnam.
The Trong Son Range runs along the country.
In fact, the Trong Son Range not only runs along the Laos-Vietnam border but also covers almost the entire center of Laos. Hundreds of mountain ranges from 1,000 to 2,800 meters high stretch like stone walls for thousands of kilometers,
making Laos resemble a country built on a rooftop.
What about high mountains? High mountains create major problems as follows. First, there is insufficient flat land to build cities. An urban area requires hundreds of km squared of flat land, wide roads, and integrated. In Laos, flat areas are very scarce. Vientiane is relatively flat, but not wide enough to accommodate an overly large population. Second, such terrain makes it very difficult to retain water and alluvium. Flat, alluvial-rich terrain is necessary for dense populations. Laos lacks plains and rice bowls, so it also lacks population centers. And third, fragmented terrain makes it hard for villages to connect with each other. People in each valley live as if in a separate world. Traveling from one village to another can take a whole day of walking, crossing several streets, because one must climb mountains, wade through streams.
This prevents the population from
concentrating and accumulating in the large areas. It's very easy to imagine. In Vietnam, just crossing the northern plains, we can see villages follow one after another, fields stretch to the right. In Laos, as soon as you leave the national highway, you immediately see mountains and forests. Provinces like Luang Prabang, Odomexay, Xiang Quang, or Phong Sa are almost entirely mountains, and beyond mountains, there are more mountains. Over two-thirds of Laos area has steep slopes. This means it's difficult to cultivate wet rice, develop industrial zones, build houses, and construct large infrastructure like airports, hospitals, and schools. A place where drawing a straight road is difficult is extremely hard for people.
Let's talk in more detail about Laos.
Laos is one of the largest limestone, also called karst, geological regions in Southeast Asia.
Limestone is beautiful for tourism, but for living, it is very harsh.
Here, the soil is thin, moisture retention is poor, water flow is underground. The terrain is mainly rocky hills, with many cliffs and caves, and life is similar to the Hmong people in northwest Vietnam. In many areas of Laos, water washes away during the rainy season, and it becomes too dry in the dry season. Previously, forests covered over 58% of the area. Villages were far apart, and the population was sparse. Nowadays, much of the forest has been lost, but overall life in Laos remains very dispersed. Lao people live scattered in small valleys, with each village having only a few dozen to a few hundred. Villages are tens of kilometers apart, lacking the conditions to form large urban centers.
Meanwhile, in Vietnam, the plains have a very high population density.
That's a terrain issue, and another factor is Laos, the only landlocked country in Southeast Asia.
Does being landlocked have any relation to population? Southeast Asia is a region where most countries have coastal access,
whether large or small, except for Laos,
Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, all open to the ocean. The sea provides fishing grounds, seaports, international trade, coastal cities, and industrial zones, thereby attracting people to settle.
Meanwhile, Laos is the only country in Southeast Asia without coast,
which isolates it from major trade flows.
No seaport means no heavy industry zones, no international transit port, and no coastal cities, which are key drivers for attracting population.
Laos has no cities with such advantages, which is why even the capital Vientiane has only about 1 million people. By 2020-2021,
Laos still lacks strong enough growth poles to attract people from rural to urban areas. Looking at Vietnam, Hanoi attracts people through industry, services, education, and job opportunities.
Ho Chi Minh City does the same, even stronger.
In terms of economy, Seaport and Internet, Da Nang, Hai Phong, and Hanoi all have clear economic roles. As for Laos, no sea, no heavy industry, no international scale export, no maritime trade, and no financial centers. Therefore, the population cannot grow rapidly either. The capital Vientiane, as mentioned, has only about 1 million people.
Other major cities like Luang Prabang or Savannakhet
have populations only comparable to Vietnam's former mountainous cities, very small by Vietnam's urban standards. When exploring why Laos' population is small, economic factors cannot be overlooked because a weak economy leads to everything else being weak.
Laos' per capita income is very low, only about half that of Vietnam.
Moreover, Laos' urbanization is very slow, with an urban population rate of only about 37%, the lowest in Southeast. Urban areas are what attract people, create jobs, and have hospitals, schools, and business opportunities. Vietnam has Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, Da Nang, and many other cities, attracting hundreds of thousands of people. Laos lacks such population growth poles. An important part is that Laos' economic model heavily relies on mining. However, these two sectors do not create many jobs. For example, a textile factory in Vietnam can hire thousands of workers, while a hydropower plant in Laos can cost billions of dollars, but only a few hundred people are needed to operate.
GDP may increase, but people have no job opportunities.
So the population remains scattered in the mountains, not concentrated in cities, and natural population growth cannot explode. So what is the most populous city in Laos? The most populous city in Laos today is Vientiane, with about 1 million people. The reason is actually, when we look at the geography and history of this country, Vientiane is located on one of the relatively flat areas, rare in the whole of Laos. The small river plain along the Meek is like an oasis in a sea of mountains. The land is easy to build houses, easy to open roads, easy for agriculture, and therefore people naturally stay to live here more densely than in places surrounded by mountains. Not only that, Vientiane is also right next to the border with the country with a much stronger economy. Just cross the Lao Cai Friendship Bridge to reach Nong Khai City. And continuing on, you'll encounter major economic centers like Udon Thong. This proximity creates extremely bustling trade, employment, commerce, and services. Laotians go to Thailand to work, do business and trade, then return to Vientiane. In addition, Vientiane has been the political administrative center of Laos. This is where the National Assembly, the Prime Minister's office, foreign embassies, international organizations, and diplomats.
Where there are high-level institutions,
there are many jobs. Where there are many jobs, many people flock there. Government employees, businesses, students, workers from distant provinces, like Phong Sali, Xin Kuan, Adapay all find their way to get
for a chance at a better life.
Vientiane's infrastructure is also superior to the rest of Laos. The roads here are wide and flat, hospitals are larger. Huaquet International Airport is located right in the city. Supermarkets and services are more compared to towns and mountainous areas. A city with more convenient living will naturally be more, because no one wants to leave a good urban area to return to remote villages, where roads are difficult, services are limited, and job opportunities are. Finally, we must mention a historical fact. From the time of the Lan Xang Kingdom through the French colonial period, Vientiane has always been the center of power. Over 600 years of continuous development have made it the cradle of the densest population, while other regions of Laos remain mountainous, dense forests, and divided by rivers. Vientiane was blessed by nature with a good land right next to the Mekong River, where alluvial deposits accumulate. Water is abundant. It is precisely a combination of a rare flat land, the strategic location, the long-standing capital role, the best infrastructure in the country, and the Mekong River that has turned Vientiane into the only city in Laos to reach the threshold of 1 million. In a country full of mountains, Vientiane is like the only place flat enough and spacious enough to accommodate a large population, and that is why no other city in Laos has surpassed Vientiane. To summarize the story of Laos, why is its area 2/3 of Vietnam's but its population so small? We see that their economy is not yet good, income is low, urbanization is. Therefore, Laos does not have the conditions for its population to surge like it.
That's not that the Lao people aren't.
Thus, despite having an area 2/3 of Vietnam, Laos' population is still only about over 7 million, equivalent to Hanoi.
A vast country but not truly vibrant. Thank you for following this story.
If you found it interesting, please subscribe to the Hidden Leisure channel, turn on notifications.
Now, it's time to say goodbye.
Thank you for accompanying us with Haikon Story. Traveling through lands. Discovering new things. Don't hesitate, leave your feedback. And we'll pause here for now. Subscribe to the Hidden Leisure channel to watch new videos.